Happy New Year. Sorry, X message wrong. As soon as I go in there, there's like a big error message at the top. It's like kind of important there, X. So I just hit refresh and your messages came through. I was like, But yeah, technology. I used to tell all my customers when I worked in telecommunications. How you doing? I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
I think you're on mute.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was saying on my end it has also been laggy. But it's good to see you. Happy New Year, happy 2026. Did you have a good party?
I just relaxed. I watched a movie. That's it. Hung out with the Poochie. I did make it to midnight this time. I don't think I've done that in a while. And then as soon as the ball dropped in Vegas, I think that I was like, okay, that's good. But how was yours? I saw you got to see some fireworks, or did you light those off?
Yeah. I was, in Belgium on vacation with my brother at some friends. So when you're in Belgium, you buy Belgium fireworks. So on the way back, we bought some fireworks, and then last night we blew some stuff up. There was a big party, like a traditional New Year's party. I think this might be the last year that we can sort of do the fireworks ourselves, and because they are planning to sort of regulate it or maybe even ban it. We went with a bang into the new year.
Yeah, my target.
What is it? There's a lag.
Yeah, there's a little bit of. But yeah, they banned in my county like a couple years ago because of wildfires. People still do them, but it's just not like it used to be, which is kind of good because there's a lot of animals, and people have been in war, don't like it. But anyway, let's get to the show. Let's thank all our sponsors. Quantum Expeditions, obviously, if you guys aren't familiar, they've been mining Bitcoin now with flared methane gas, and they're starting to figure out what we've been talking about, and Daniel Batten's been talking. Bitcoin is going to reshape the energy sector of the world. That's one of my latest projects that I'm getting involved with, is how to types of projects, because most people don't realize it. Solar farms and wind farms and environment and their security. But anyway, also we want to thank Shieldfolio. If you click on the QR code, clearly you get a discount. But Shieldfolio helps protect your seed phrases from prying eyes. You have to use a special pen and read them. It is waterproof, and they are working on a fireproof one for the future, which is what I'm waiting for, because I will buy one when the fireproof one comes out, because that's security, right? It's waterproof, fireproof, exactly all the things you want in a seed phrase book to keep those passwords offline, right?
Absolutely.
We also want to thank everyone at Deorgan, all the family and friends at Bitcoin Live, and thank you to my co-host Nick. As usual, today's show is is for everyone, right? There's a lot of people that are going to spin the new narrative that Bitcoin is for elitists, become like the new 1%, which is a high probability what will happen, that the early crypto adopters will become some of the most financially independent entrepreneurs of the next couple of decades. But it's still, these tools and protocols are for everyone, right? We're going to start off the show today, just doing it light. But we're going to start with some Happy New Year stuff. Let me pull up my bookmarks because
and I'll keep my
lining all that up, and I was like, oh my gosh.
I'll keep my side quiet because of the lag. Otherwise, it sort of takes away sort of the back and forth.
Oh yeah, no worries. The screen. Nope. Oh, yes. So this one was pretty cool. This. I don't know if it was AI or not because the little graphic at the end is like. But I don't see any Sora watermarks. I don't see any AI marks.
Yeah. I turned on the sound a little bit because it's very loud. But I think it's like pulling, and she's hitting the balls, right? Or he?
Yeah, sorry, I was on the wrong tab. There was another one. Let me see. I think this was from El Salvador.
So what are your sort of biggest takeaways from last year? Like when you look back in 2025, what is your
I mean, clearly it was the year of coin and crypto. So, but you have to realize, with that being said, it's even though we're in this, this is El Salvador from last night. Happy New Year again. Even though there's all these green flag industry, you have to realize all of this regulation has to be set up behind it, and then that has to happen in all these jurisdictions. Realize that like all this money that we all want to flow in overnight can happen at times, is going to for this fervor, this new wave to build up. But it's starting to appear that this is happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just told you, I was at work the other day, 75 to 80, and he's wearing a River hat, right? Like River Financial hat, which is a Bitcoin financial internet issues on New Year's Day. Surprise.
Yeah.
All right.
Typical.
Oh yeah, we're back on. So all of this wave of capital, especially from the people, is on kind of pause. If you're this 1%er that lives in Singapore and your bank is HSBC, they're still in between. They're waiting for all of this stuff to be greenlit in their sectors, right? And they're being very patient. All of this money patient right now. And I think we're seeing a lot of that money are chasing green candles like silver and gold. And I've been saying, I'm one of the few commodities analysts. This is the decade of commodities, right? I've said that many times on this show, said it many times on my account, etc. And we're starting to see that play out and in the coal mine, right? So it's already done its 30 to 40% retrace, and in those times it's done, more than that, right? We've seen it in the bear market of 2018 go down, I think it was like 8%. So I think we're in these like in between phases where, like I said, we're expecting all this new capital to come in from the 1%, and there's a lot of people that don't want to invest in, a lot of 1%ers that don't want to invest in all of these paper assets anymore. They want to get in on Bitcoin, the spot Bitcoin, and other proof of work networks that they can get spot. And all the banks in 2026 are starting to offer this, right? We've seen PNC, right, already say, hey, Bitcoin through us. In the next couple of quarters, we're going to see this at the end of this month, where we had a very slow December, like very snail-like.
Mm-hmm.
And then after the holiday, it was like, I don't know what happened with people, but all of a sudden people were pulling the trigger again. Like it was like pulling stuff. But the first couple of weeks of December were very, very, very slow. And that, I think, top to bottom, if you understand micro economics, like that applies to crypto too, right? If people are not spending money, most liquid markets will be affected. Coin, Monero, Litecoin, all of these proof of work protocols that people do use, right? When people say nobody uses this stuff, I always say, like, let's go pull up moneymovers.info. I love pulling up that chart. Give me a minute.
No problem.
And when people see people use the blockchain to move tons of money around the world, all right? So here we go. Bitcoin is still moving roughly, let's see, what was it? Come on, stay right there. This is from October. It's still moving a day. Ethereum's moving a day. So people are using to move money. It's just Bitcoin people, the main group of people in Bitcoin. So people have to realize that go forward in time, right? The other day, I think it's Look on Chain. Let me pull that up. Nab it. Give me a sec.
Yeah, it's like the slow start of the year, right? We just had like a...
Yeah.
So your expectations for 2026 are very positive, I imagine.
Yeah, again, all the metrics, and I was trying to pull up something, but I can't find it right now. The reason why we're seeing the downward pressure again on Bitcoin is there are, again, multiple whales selling some of their positions. What I was trying to pull up from Look on Chain is a whole bunch of IBIT from BlackRock got moved to their Bitcoin, their spot Bitcoin, to Coinbase and Ethereum as well. So BlackRock is set to dump. Either they're waiting for another, minimal move for them to these spot products. Again, and in my theory, is somewhat nominal until all the banks globally are use these products. And as more and more retail people come into the markets, oh yeah, and the other story is my third or fourth customer little table, and she pulls out her Gemini credit card, and she's like 60 something, right? So be ready. These are big, like, Mac people in America that aren't the demographics you think, right? Both of those people are boomers, right? Who, one is a big Bitcoiner, the other one was in the big into XRP. The lady, she's like, no, I have a huge bag of XRP. And I was like, no, I get it. And this is the future of money, right? And this is a totally different demographic that is understanding that this is the future of finance, right? And as more and more people, segue back to it, as more and more retail people figure this out, it becomes easier, right? If you are entrepreneurial and to move money from point A to point B through the traditional finance system, it's a pain in the ass, right? If I try to send you $50 through my bank to your bank, you'll see it in like a month, right? Like,
definitely. And if you do it with
2 to 3 weeks at best.
And if you do it via PayPal, they take a double haircut, right? And then you get like 20%.
Oh yeah, so you get hit on my side, and then you get hit on your side, right?
It's the PayPal mafia.
With money changers, right, and money exchangers globally, right? Let's for years. That's why in the marine is accelerating faster and faster, right? Oh yeah, we'd even pull up that story. Let's pull up, and that's a big one. We go out.
To be honest, I've been out of it for a week. I actually really enjoyed it, having no internet or very little internet.
You know me, man. I try and stay on time in the world. I don't like wake up watching news. Oh, yeah, you're supposed to do, dude. Chill. Yeah. If you weren't chilling, you didn't vacation. Let's see. Here it is. So, boom. This is an article shared just the other day on Twitter. Nobody is talking about. Their paper money is start to turning to dookie sauce. And what fixes that? There's only one thing on the planet that fixes that. It's called Bitcoin, right? And Iran.
Go ahead, Gerald. Why is it turning to ash? I mean, what's the reason? Is it the boycotts, or is it people losing faith in the currency?
There's a whole bunch of things, right? So, yeah, it's been the restrictions put in place by the U.S., the EU, and again, the back end products that Iran has been holding to protect them. And again, when hyperinflation comes, what's the telltale sign is that they keep printing more and more to try and float the spread, right, and protect themselves from total collapse. And the main problem is they have to import a lot of things when it comes to it's no big deal for fuel, but when it comes to like chicken, eggs, other things, they got to import from Turkey and import from Iraq. Not a ton from Iraq, but a lot from Turkey and all these other countries. And again, when their people are going to the markets and they're having these Argentina or Venezuela, Zimbabwe problems, this is where Bitcoin comes into play. And it's also because what I've been speaking about with you behind the scenes, where lots and lots of mosques have been closing down, and their people are sick of the regime, sick of their silly rules and regulations. And a lot of Muslims are becoming not BS, right? And guess what? Christianity, one of the tenements of the faith is freedom. Right? Right? That is a core tenement of Christianity, and people are starting to understand what that means, right? They're out on the streets, they're protesting, they're
Islam and Judaism are more rule-based.
Go ahead.
More rule-based religions, and Christianity is, of course, basically.
Yeah, I think all three faiths are rule-based, but Christianity gives you the choice that you don't have to do any of that. At some point, you're going to meet your maker, and he's like, you didn't walk to the light, right?
Yeah.
Oopsies. But anyway, back to the point at hand is that all of these factors uprising, right? The money failing, all of these like rules and regulations, right? From people can't dance in the streets. Like the girl made a little TikTok video where she did, like, you know, she was just doing hand over hand like flips that gymnasts do, right? And if to do that in any other day, she's getting arrested, right? And where you can do that in, you know, the US, you could do that in Europe if you gotta, and you're not gonna see his little secret team of police, like, right? Like come out of the woods and arrest you for doing some gymnastics, right? This is, to me, there's a lot of people in the world that think that that's just, and hey, that's I think a lot of the world's on the same page with that, right? And they're sick of this, and again, they're gonna go with Bitcoin, right? This is where I was going with that. We need people to understand why Bitcoin's important. The whole country of people are about to figure it out real fast. I've done this. I think when we first had a show, I think I sent you, I don't know, it was like a quarter of a Litecoin or half, like, I forget what it even was. And you got it in like minutes, right? Like, and that's the beauty of these products. You can help a friend on the other side of the world, whether they need it or not, in minutes, right? We're not going through all of the rules and regulations, and all of these third parties that are taking a sliver, right? Like whoever it is, from Visa to Amex to MasterCard, and they're starting to get it too, right? They're starting to realize way less frictionless system than their own. Just for a little bit.
Your co-host,
and
Blue.
And yeah, Blue wants to totally get it because he's been cooped up all morning. But it makes business that much easier, right? Again, if you're somebody who's run a small business, or you've sent money back home from overseas, right? Remittances, right? If you activity, you realize that in even XRP, these are products that are far superior to the dollar itself, right? The dollar is only useful when it's peer-to-peer, right? All of these funny shell games that they do with your bank accounts, they're a heartbeat away from being hacked, right? Bitcoin is far more secure. All these people worried about quantum computers, AI, and just some basic tools that you can download for free on the internet. And many systems are very, very, and that's another reason the banking industry is going in full force into Bitcoin and crypto, is because all of these transactions, especially on Bitcoin and Litecoin, and there's not security built like an umbrella from the top down, which is the way the security system works for the Web 2.0, where we've put shielding with all these firewalls to protect these accounts and databases. And it's the exact protocol, Litecoin protocol, where we have SHA-256 and script hashing algorithms right from the base protocol up, and all of that security built in the foundation. It is totally different when you're trying to put this umbrella or this raincoat over the Web 2.0, which again I was just talking about, I can poke holes over the place in traditional systems,
and this is
like a solar farm or a wind farm.
Basically, Jason Lowry's theory, like soft war, where he sort of speaks that the countries that are not moving through blockchain, Bitcoin. Is my sound too soft? But
yeah,
Jason
if you
Lowry.
Can turn it up, sorry.
Okay, wait. I'm gonna check if my volume is okay. I think it should be okay. Okay. Well, anyway,
yeah, give me
Jason
a second.
Lowry.
Turn down my fan real quick. Sorry.
Yeah, that might help also. Yeah, so there's another game theory dynamic going on with what he describes in Software War, a great book, by the way. Can highly recommend it. That countries that are not moving to secure cryptographic blockchains like Bitcoin or Litecoin, or, in my opinion, also Digibyte or Decred or Monero or Zcash or whatever, like a first they will be left behind, right? Because their networks and security is
100%.
Yeah. So that's also your theory.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And people have with this that these Web 2.0 systems are way, especially now at the point we're in, right? These guys now don't need 20 hackers in a room, right? They need like a nice AI agent and a couple of tools, and they're like purging huge databases of information, but seamlessly and efficiently, right? And that's where it gets scary, right? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and he knows what he's talking about. Me and this guy have been talking about the same topic for almost, like, I think 7 to 10 years, where this is a national security issue, right? I've been saying this for some time. The banks have been at threat from the North Korean, that secret group that they have, that little office. Everyone's seen the 60 Minutes special, right? And those guys, they are the ones hacking crypto exchanges and bridges and all this stuff, and they're more than happy to keep doing this. This is why you think your bank account is I mean, we can pull up article after article after article. I think I just read an article the other day. Two, one was about people getting scammed for Bitcoin ATMs, right? Like, I don't, and this is for all of the older generation. If somebody calls you up and says you need to go to a Bitcoin ATM, it is 100% a scam. It's going to ask you to do that, not your insurance company, not your internet provider, not your television provider, not any of your utilities are going to ask you to go to a Bitcoin ATM and do the keys to. They're not going to do that, right? So if you're going into a gas station or a convenience store to go to a Bitcoin ATM, and it's not to buy Bitcoin for yourself, you're on the other end of a big scam. Stop, right? Stop right there. But it was like $300 and I think $30 million just in 2025 with the BTC ATM scams globally. And the other thing is, article after article, I think it was in the same ballpark, but it was with the B, right? It was like $2 billion of money just gone from people's accounts. Like, this is going to become, it's starting to become a bigger and bigger thing. But like I've said in 2018, going into 2020 as it hit, I was like, there's a whole bunch of hackers that had jobs that don't have jobs. And what we saw across the boards is literally from 2020 to 2022, cyber attack percent, right? And there's a whole list of reasons why this happened across the board. It's not just in crypto, right? We're talking about databases, banks, honeypots of information all across the globe. And it's because the price of data kept going down, right? Like, so most people aren't aware that the dark web in the early ages, like if you got just a couple of accounts, you were getting thousands and thousands of dollars for this information because it was priceless information. Now that there's so much data on the webs, have like 5 accounts, 10 accounts, they're doing 100,000 accounts and they're getting thousands of data has been going down because it's been free, right? We've talked about this on the show where the almost this socialistic approach to the internet where Google use, well, all of that information is stored on servers. Then they have to be online. That costs power for money. So we've made this, quasi communistic. Now everyone's starting to realize that all of this free stuff from YouTube and beyond has costs associated with it when you're at scale, right? When you're at scale, millions and millions of dollars to move all of this data around the world every couple of hours, right? Bitcoin is the opposite. Litecoin is the opposite. You want to go move this data, it's a simple UTXO financial, or you want to encode some data on the base layer and as a text cost you money, right? Yeah. I'm sorry to the people that love ordinals, but he's literally said this multiple times. Go to the Satoshi Nakamoto Institute.org and go readings. And he said many times, I'm doing this to get rid of spammers, right? Because he made a protocol that was in size. And this wouldn't just taking up with computational power at the same time to the Bitcoin network. And that's where we're at, right? We're starting to be in the beginning phase of this hyper where the energy companies, right, starting to figure it out, and the spammers and the world, right? Months ago, where we can see that, oh wow, Bitcoin is really starting to fix some of these web problems. Getting back to entered this one the other day. Look at this, dude. This is, what is that? That's like almost, say that's close to 3 billion in USD. Hold on, Siri. What's 1.5 billion pounds in dollars? So it's in dollars wasted wind energy. And why is that? We've talked about this time and time again. And I even tagged PM on this, right? On that tweet, I tagged him because I was like, look, that's what we do at Quantum Economics, right? We're analysts, dude. You want to help, we'll help figure this out. They're doing it in West Texas with methane flare. We can show you how to do this with wasted wind energy. TEPCO is doing it, right? We talked about that time and time again. But that's $2 billion in wasted energy. Could be $10 billion in Bitcoin. We don't know because you guys are wasting what, like, again, all Daniel Batten, myself, the President Bukele, Michael Saylor, people are starting to like impress upon the world. Bitcoin is all of those things that everyone's dreamt of, right? From an energy money, from Ford dreamt up to, like I said, I've shared time and time again, Leonardo da Vinci's tweet, invisible coins will lead to the triumph of many in them. How did Leonardo talk about Bitcoin almost 500 years ago? Because it was sent to us by God. We're going to do a whole show on that. Yes. Invisible coins will lead to the triumph of many who spend them. You can go, and this is the funny part, go ask Gemini, ChatGPT, all of them about that quote. None of them know it because it's on a secret journal in the Vatican, right? Like, it's not on the web, right? So I fought with ChatGPT. I was like, no, you're wrong. This is a real quote from Leonardo da Vinci, right? So, this is not baloney.
So what's the backstory there with this Vatican book?
I literally was just watching. I was literally just watching a special on Leonardo da Vinci and the Vatican, and they were just showing like some of his journals that they never show anybody, and this was just one of them. It was random, bro. Totally random. I was watching a special about Leonardo, and that came up, and I pooped my pants like instantly.
So is this a capture from yourself that you're showing here?
Yeah.
Wow. Cool.
Literally capturing it from the screen, from that documentary, which I don't know what that documentary is anymore. I totally forgot it because it was like took that picture from the screen, and again press this upon people that it was sent by God, right? To save us from the money printers and the fraudsters and the coin clippers, right? This has been going on for a long, this is not like a new scam, right? It's been going on since Roman days, right? Coin clipping. No, and then we got into paper money after the Mongolians, and then after we got into, what's funny is most people don't know this one, right? The Mongolians invented paper money like almost 1,000 years ago, like 800 to 900 years ago, roughly. And it took another 400 to 500 years before paper money made it to Europe. So think of where Bitcoin is compared to paper money, and you're not bullish enough.
Yeah. That I mean, we should definitely do a show on Bitcoin, or Bitcoin as gold money, or God's money, or spiritual money.
It is God's money, and again, it's infinite, right? Like that's what I tell people. What goes to infinity? Oh, God.
Yeah, there's a lot of interest.
And we'll do this whole existential show on how I came to this conclusion. References in the old scripture, new scripture. I've been working on it for some time, but I want to have enough that I can fill up a whole show. I don't want to be like, just be like, okay, that's it, and now let's just look at charts. Because I know people are gonna be like, that's not enough to convince me.
I actually have like a sort of a counter to yours, even though I there's an overlap there. Like I think you could also make a case that it's like from an alien civilization, but it's sort of like like a mirror of what you're arguing, probably. So interesting.
Yeah, and again, the prime minister in that picture is the perfect post child for what me and Lowry and yourself have been screaming from the mountaintops, is that you take all of this waste energy globally, which I said in his spaces, I haven't said it on the show, just in the natural gas and oil sector, just those two sectors, it's somewhere close to, I think, 2 to 4.
Crazy.
Yeah. That's all. That's why I literally am now starting to realize why I need to build a Bitcoin company, right? When I saw that figure, I was like, That's just oil and gas. Now look at this article, right? 1.5 billion in pounds, billion in USD wasted just in wind in one country, right? You add in Texas's wind farms, you add in all the solar farms globally, and talking, it's a couple of $1 trillion as well. So you're somewhere sitting, this ballpark, you know, random, what do you call it? Well, you're looking globally, it's somewhere of like a $10 trillion market.
Wow.
That's all. Just a $10 trillion market. Energy. And when Bitcoin comes in, captures that energy, how much is Bitcoin going to be? 100 million to $1 billion. I said that. I was the first analyst to say that, right? And I don't know that.
and I think, you know, for the no coiners or the skeptics out there, that also means the flip side of that argument is that the price of energy will drop, right? So Bitcoin will make energy cheaper for.
That's the beautiful part.
No.
And that's why I'm a huge fan of AI. Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, no worries. We've been screaming from the mountaintop. You know, I love AI tools. I think a creative entrepreneur, they're very important tools to have in your arsenal. However, AI data center, clear, right? AI tools themselves, I do not think so. Those are tools, even though they're kind of congruent when it comes to investing. However, AI data centers make the price of it go up. This is a fact, right? We've got the data already. Bitcoin and Litecoin and other proof of work networks are going to make especially in these markets where energy projects were too expensive, Bitcoin finds its way in there, and then all of a sudden there is an energy project. It is creating energy and it's creating Bitcoin, and now the two are interwoven together, and this is when the revolution starts. And for over 5 or 6 years globally, right? Now we have the big players. ExxonMobil companies are starting to realize what I just said. There's somewhere between $5 to $10 trillion in wasted energy that if you capture it, again, how much is Bitcoin going to be? Somewhere between 100 million per Bitcoin. Energy in the world from oil, solar, wind, hydro, right? Oh yeah, I forgot to add in wasted methane, wasted coal, slag, methane coming off of dumps.
Yeah, you're sort of dropping
place on the planet. See the connect, but also breaking up and being coming off dumps, right? There's a dump in every city, in every state, every jurisdiction in the globe, and that's more money, right? That's more. We're capturing that methane, and this is the CO2 alarmist won't tell you is methane is way more harmful to the atmosphere because CO2, yes, trees and plants need CO2, needs the methane,
and they
right?
make oxygen.
No,
yeah, that's one of the things that I find really weird. That you know, there's a lot of alarmism around CO2, even though I always learned like years ago in high school that CO2, you know, feeds plants and trees and they make oxygen and they, you know, make the cycle of life work. So I don't know why they're so afraid of, you know, CO2 in the atmosphere, right? I think that would be a net benefit, but maybe I'm missing something there. But yeah, I totally agree with what you said about methane. And
well, it's a combination of all of those gases that makes it, you know, horrible.
And Bitcoin
off the plate. Go ahead, sir.
And Bitcoin also makes it affordable or profitable to, you know, hunt out and search out new energy sources both exotic new energy sources, but also in hard to reach, inhospitable places, right? Because suddenly those projects become profitable to sort of go, I don't know, to Antarctica or the North Pole or, you know, Greenland or Alaska, right? To sort of hunt down energy sources that had been like hard to reach and unprofitable. But Bitcoin suddenly makes those endeavors worthwhile.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like even people haven't even talked about this one, right? Even in like geopetrol exploration, right? You're drilling. Sometimes you don't hit crap. You tie a Bitcoin miner into that equation, you're still earning some of those losses back, right? Hello.
Yeah.
So again, when all of the energy companies globally, even these micro energy companies that are popping up, right? These people that want to build these little micro nuke facilities and little micro like solar arrays that they're coming up with, all these little things coming up, it all comes back to Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin becomes your distribution credit, your carbon credit, your downtime credit, whatever it is. And that's what makes it such a powerful, literally, I said this to my buddy yesterday. He was closing down the guy that I was trying to show to you take Bitcoin, he's closing down his food truck because he's having a kid. And I was like, I totally get that, totally respect that. But I told him, I was like, invention since the wheel, right? Literally. And he was like, whoa. And I was like, yes, it's that important. All of these applications that haven't been discovered, right? That's what I'm trying to find my little community. And I think I have. I just got to, you know, put on the thinking cap and bust out some code. But that's where it's at, right? Like where I said this earlier in the show, Bitcoin's only a teenager, right? It's a rough 15 or 16 years old. Look where it is compared to paper money. Paper money took 400 years to go from China to Amsterdam, right? It took 400 years for paper money to reach that. Bitcoin is already a global product and a $2 trillion. Wake up, wake up, wake up. I tried to impress this upon him. I was like, you're moving it back home. And another reason his home area is because the cost of living is going to drop by like 20 to 30% for him. And I was like, this is another reason you need to be saving in Bitcoin, man, into an economy that's going to help you save 20, 30%. Well, you need to be putting that 20, 30% into an asset that's going to be fighting inflation like a ninja. The only thing next to gold and silver and platinum that's going to keep doing these moves, right? And eventually those metals, they start to trend to zero against Bitcoin as well. $1 billion, those precious metals start to fade away very quickly. And we said this time and again, it's already showing you that it's way more safe to save in Bitcoin than dollars. Just look at the price of a house over the last 10 years and the price of Bitcoin keeps going down, keeps going down. Price of a car keeps going down, keeps going down. So why would you not be saving at least some of your money in Bitcoin? Because if the US dollar, which the good thing about it will be, you know, the last to get hyperinflated because it has the most tentacles outreaching globally, right? So right. So we're already starting to see other countries' paper monies go, right? There's what do they use? Is it the Iranian rial? I forget the name of their currency.
I think so.
So their paper money is starting to collapse because of years and overprinting from their country, right? Like, and they're just the main reason their their currency is collapsing hard against itself is they don't have other countries that use their currency. So there isn't that buoy system around them to buffer them against all of that downward pressure. If everyone goes to the bank in their country and wants money, well, it's only a few banks that hold their products, right? Oh yeah, it's the Iranian rial. And you can see, like, when I see Square, this is another thing that is kind of crazy, but I tell people when I see right angles on being mega high volume traded, right? That is, it's literally or going nuts with their trading algos. That's just my personal take on that. Because you're right. Why is that? Oh, because sell, buy, sell, buy, sell,
Robot.
buy, sell, buy.
And for the people who want sort of like a historical overview, I can highly recommend Niall Ferguson's The Ascent of Money. It's a really nice little book about sort of the creation of money. Only he doesn't, I think, really talk about the Mongolian paper money. I think he does mention it in the beginning, but it's mostly sort of like the European angle from how it sort of started in Venice and well, actually earlier, but he's sort of from there, and then goes through all these different financial products and how they were created. Actually, he's pretty much open-minded about Bitcoin. Neil Ferguson, he's an interesting historian, but yeah, definitely worth a read. Wait, I think I can find it here somewhere.
Yeah, no. Any like von Mises's book or Lawrence Leber's The Big Print, anybody that's going to speak openly about the money printer, attention, right? Because they're speaking more of the truth than most of the media. And getting to that point, I saw this interesting clip from a CBS News analyst. Here it is. Listen to.
Okay, wait. I'm gonna switch to yours.
Not the average American. Weight in the analysis of academics or elites, and not enough on you. And I know this because at certain points, I have been you. I have felt this way too. I felt seeing and hearing on the news didn't reflect what I was seeing and hearing in my own life, and that the most urgent questions simply weren't being asked. So here's my promise to you, today and every time you see me in this chair. You come first, not advertisers, not politicians, not corporate interests. And yes, that does include the corporate owners of CBS. I report for you.
That's
on too many stories.
I'm going to pause it right there. But that's how a free press is supposed to work. So it's freaking that the CBS news host is now telling you, I'm going to try and represent news objectively, because kind of in the mid 90s, right? Where the CNN shows that were all called Crossfire, right? There was one that's started on PBS called Fire. On CNN was Crossfire, and there was another one on PBS, very similar, but they're all editorial, opinionated shows. And then the news turned into a huge editorialization in the thousands, and we got away from objective. One does objective news telling, like that kid the other day in Minnesota, and he's looked at as a right winger because he's telling the truth. Oh. Yeah, let's stop it with these little games that we're playing, right? With these little spins we want to put on when people do bad things, right? No America commits fraud. That's what these people are trying to convince other people. It's everyone does this. No, not everyone does this. And it appears it might be happening in other parts of the country. Good, get those people too. I hope they're white. Whoop-de-doo-dah. Right? It doesn't matter. You're breaking the law. You're breaking the law. you're hurting that local economy, you're hurting the state economy, and because you're debasing it with fraudulent activity, right? And that's the thing that people, dark budgets, whether this group in Minnesota to, people doing black ops for our military that they think is the right thing, these things go away, right? Like, because we have an open ledger called Bitcoin, right? And we can see what everyone's doing. And that's, a bug, not a, that's a feature, not a bug, right? I know when it comes to privacy, nerds out there, yeah, that's the bad thing about Bitcoin. But again, it keeps everyone above board, right? It keeps everyone.
What I think Jeff Booth calls that the forcing function of Bitcoin, right? Because you can't manipulate the rules, so the rules apply to everybody, no matter how powerful, rich, or influential you are. Everybody is sort of measured with the same stick, and that's the problem with the current system, right? Some people hold the stick, and they're above the law. They can undermine the law because the money is broken, as Lynn Alden puts it in her magnificent book, Broken Money.
Yes, another good one about how paper money is starting to not work at this scale of the Web 2.0. And, another reason why there's, one percenters and other one percenters, side of the fence that don't like coin, because it literally, it takes away the illegal side of forensic accounting, right? Like cooking the books is almost possible to do when everything is on an open ledger. And that's the beauty of it, right? You can't clip. You can clip a Bitcoin by buying some Satoshis, but you can't clip a Bitcoin and make other Bitcoins with it. That's the best feature, right? We've talked about this time and time again. And I loved showing that video of CZ handing Peter Schiff that fake gold bar and be like, is it real? It's like, you don't know. And that is what sets Bitcoin far above gold, far above. There is no 14 karat, 10 karat, 24 karat Bitcoin. You get Bitcoin, it's Bitcoin, right? 100%. There's no diluted Bitcoin. And that's the reason why I tell people, if you're going to buy the ETF, just buy spot in that amount and start to learn the hodl. Because when you need that money, what are you going to do? Oh, you got to go to iBit and you got to ask them for that Bitcoin, and then they got to go to Coinbase, and maybe they have it down to a couple of days, but I venture it's going to take a couple of weeks. That's just, let's be real. They're going to try and slow that process down as much as they can. Why do you think they accept cash into the ETF and then wait 30 days? You think you're going to get your money in 30 days if you want it? Obviously, if you're just clicking the sell and you don't, you're converting it in your Robinhood account, yes, you'll instantly get cash. So I don't want to hear people talking smack on me about that one. What I'm trying to say is, if you wanted that spot Bitcoin, whether it's 0.1 or 1 Bitcoin, do you think it would take a few moments to get that spot Bitcoin, or do you think it would take a few weeks? And I am telling you, it's probably crap. When you lock money into any POS network, they tell you, 21 days at minimum, right, to unlock this, whether it's XRP, Solana, I don't care what network it is. They're like, oh yeah, you want to unlock this? Yeah, we'll see you in about a month. So that's another reason I don't like proof of stake networks, right? Point of crypto is, I want it now. I want it now. I want it right this second. I want to be able to send that money to Amsterdam in 5 minutes, right? I want to be able to send that money. I want to send that Litecoin to Bolivia in 2 minutes, right? I want to send that XRP to Japan in 30 seconds. I don't want to be waiting 3 weeks later, right? That's the old. These are the problems with proof of stake networks, because if they allow you to unstake your stuff immediately, oh, what would happen? No one talks about that one, right? Am I right though? You know I'm right. If you were allowed to unstake your stuff, like almost every POS network would collapse as soon as there was any downward pressure, because everyone would unstake and everyone would sell, and oh, there goes your underlying asset token in minutes, not days, not months, minutes. I'm just saying, these are things that the proof of stake people don't want you to hear. But as somebody who's been there, right, where I've like, oh, I need this now. Oh, you can get it in 21 days. Oh, you can get it. You can. The shortest I've ever seen is about 14 days. That's it.
Yeah, and they're trying to recreate the old system on blockchain, right?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So they're trying to recreate the old system on blockchain, right, with proof of stake networks. But
yes,
I want to ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, what are your predictions for 2026? Right, I mean, we're now. I think we're doing it on the 1st of January. So you are the Oracle of Oregon. So what are your big picture predictions for 2026?
So I think that Bitcoin does hit close to 2 zettahashes in 2026 in power. We've 5 just a few months ago. It was 1.44, I think, on September, the beginning of September. So we're going to see the hash rate grow again exponentially, because to go from 1 zettahash to 2 zettahashes, that's insane, to double that power just in that short amount of time. So I think we do see new all-time high hash rate. We will see new all-time high at some point. And I think everything's going crypto, right? Everything's going bit in crypto, because it's just too easy compared to the old networks, right? Go ahead.
Can I ask you a question about, because next year is also the midterm elections in November, I think they are in the US, and they're very important, and Trump is not looking too good. So you can argue two ways, right? So you can argue that the price will actually go up before the elections, because they'll spend money in order to make themselves popular. So people will get cash injections into their bank accounts and make them happy. And then some of that money will flow into crypto, I imagine. Or you can argue the other way around, that because there's uncertainty with the regulations, if Trump loses Congress and it goes to the Democrats, big institutions are sort of hesitant to go all into crypto, because Trump hasn't, there's still that uncertainty over the market with the midterm election. So which way do you lean, or do you think they're both true at the same time? Or,
I mean, I think it could go either way. It honestly is we're getting to the point where it doesn't matter, right? We're hyper Bitcoinization moment where all of the, not just the 1%ers, right? All of the energy companies, all the 1%ers, a lot of more retail folk that are understanding it's like, oh, wow, this is an important piece of the future, right? This isn't like some magic internet money scam anymore. This is the future of finance. Everything's starting to be designed around it, right? From Bitcoin to Ethereum to Litecoin to Solana, all of these things are going to be utilized, because these economies move trillions of dollars of money around every day. And if you take all of that friction out of those networks, they're saving hundreds of billions of dollars every month, right? With these new tools and protocol. And as soon as these banks and all these energy companies, all these people start to realize more freedom with your money to do what you want when it's on one of these protocols, especially a proof of work like Bitcoin or Litecoin, And even XRP, you can't stop a P2P XRP transaction. I'm pretty sure that's an inability. If I have it like a Zum wallet and you have a Zum wallet and I send you XRP, I don't think there's a finger that can come out of the sky and stop that transaction. So this is why these are superior to what we've been using on the web. The web has obfuscated all of the hard work that's done behind the scenes, that's very, very labor intensive and waste ton of money. A Bitcoin transaction is very easy, very nominal. A Lightning transaction, even less. A Litecoin transaction, when you see the fees, it's like 0.0000001, it's like a tenth of a penny, right? The same thing with XRP. It costs them tons of money to move money around, right? And they charge us for that. So you start taking those factors out. They make more money, you save more money, right? And we've seen this time and time again. The Bitcoiners of the world, the big whales of the world, their lives get easier and easier as inflation goes like this on the chart, right? It goes like this in the chart. And they're like, yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter because they're going to keep doing burr, right? That's their only move when things aren't going their way, is to print more paper money. And now they're starting to realize that that's not good. That's why we'll go with these, CBDCs, where we can control that and we can monitor that and we can set parameters for that. And that's a bigger force of control for them. And that's why Lagarde hates Bitcoin, because it makes their money obsolete at some point, right? And she was all happy they added Bulgaria to the Eurozone the other day. It's like, so what, lady? No one cares.
The
euro still sucks. The euro is not going to go up like a skyrocket because they added Bulgaria to the EU zone. Like whoop-de-doo-dah. Like she acted like everything's going to change now.
It's like the euro is kind of like a Ponzi scheme or a shit coin, right? And the Ponzi scheme has to add new members in order to keep the show going, right?
That's exactly
They are very happy
that they found, preach on, brother.
that they found another sucker to hold the bag for them.
Correct. But here's some euros. Good luck.
But I was sort of thinking, like what you just said, like because the dollar has been weaponized and money in general has been weaponized, and CBDCs are sort of like a hyper weaponization of money. And then, of course, the system itself is also in a gigantic bubble that's about to blow at any moment, because they have to keep printing, and at some point that goes awry. So the, other countries around the world who know all these things and are suffering from all these things, they can do two things: either buy gold or buy Bitcoin to protect themselves from these things. So that's like another reason for Bitcoin to start catching on, right? Because these countries can only protect themselves. Like Bhutan is actually doing really great. El Salvador is doing really great.
That's what I was just gonna say. Look at Bhutan. Look at El Salvador. Look at these countries who have figured out that they can take some of their excess power, mine Bitcoin, buy Bitcoin, and they get ahead of the curve, right? Bhutan and El Salvador. I mean, here's you want to talk another prediction. I said this years ago when El Salvador made Bitcoin legal tender. I did a G20 summit in the next 5 or 10 years, right? Bhutan will be another country because they have so much money. They'll be like, welcome to the G22. You're G22. They get it, right? They understand that all that wasted hydropower is simply just Bitcoin that they haven't mined yet. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, so I was actually wanting to make a point with what I was said earlier, right? Because they're pushing, America is now pushing stable coins, right? And stable coins are, of course, another debt mechanism for the US to go a little longer. But China is in panic, Europe is in panic, and many other countries are also panicking because this stable coin is basically undermining their sovereignty and their economies. So ironically, sort of the rollout of stablecoins can actually push Bitcoin much higher, because if you don't want to have the stablecoin, you have to protect your economy and your sovereignty. And there's only, like I said, two ways to protect yourself from stablecoins: the rollout of stablecoins, and that's Bitcoin or gold.
And just realize that stablecoins are CBDCs light, right? Like there's only a couple that a couple ways you can move stablecoins around and have it be safe and private, right? I talked on a tweet the other day, and even Aqua Wallet shared my tweet because they were like, "Yeah, smart dude." You can use an Aqua Wallet, right? Convert some of your Bitcoin to liquid, their liquid chain, and those transactions are very, very private, right? If I send you a transaction through there, you put that key in, it's not pulling up my wallet, right? Or you can get like a Nexus wallet, or there's a Cake wallet, right? And you can you can put some Litecoin in there, move it to the MWeb, and then you give me your MWeb address, and I can literally send you MWeb dollars, as they're called, and totally private. It's like me giving you cash, or Monero. Obviously, you could send people Monero. But the point I was trying to make was that stable coins, a lot of these stable coins, there's USDC, USDT, right? There's like 30 different ones now. There's a whole bunch that can be stopped, right? Paxos dollars, right? Binance dollars, right? I'm trying to think of a couple more. I can't think of off the top of my head, but there's all of these handful of stable coins where the creator can literally stop your transaction and retrieve it. Now that's good. If it's a scam and you're the scammy, that's awesome. However, that's not good when you want these transactions to be finalized and to be semi-private, at least semi-private. And they're not.
Or if you're
right?
a country.
Clear. Go ahead.
Or if you're a sovereign country,
Yeah, especially if you're a sovereign country and you're moving like a couple $100 million, you don't want the hackers to know, it's Mexico or Luxembourg or wherever. And again, I don't know how many times I have to say this. Do I use stablecoins? Yes. Are they my friend? No. Right? Save in Bitcoin or Litecoin or some proof of work chain that you trust. Proof of stake. I know there's people that love Ethereum. I used to love Ethereum to the high heavens, but there's just too many holes, right? There's too many holes. There's too many problems. And again, could you make money off Ethereum? I wouldn't be surprised if you did. That's not the point. You just don't want to come to your wallet one day and all your money to be gone, right? Or you have all this money locked in this DeFi platform and it goes out of business. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's gone. Or the contract broke and you can't access your funds anymore to that DeFi platform. There's literally 1,000,001 problems that can happen. I never have problems with proof of work networks, right? I've never had that problem with Dogecoin, never had that problem with Litecoin. The only problem I ever had with Bitcoin is waiting on confirms when we're high trafficked hours. That's it. You have a little bit of a panic attack because you're like, no, I sent the right address. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. But that's why they have the Lightning Network. If you're an impatient, techno person and you want things to move like that, then you should be figuring out the Lightning Network or Litecoin specifically. If you like stuff to be super fast. If you don't have a problem with stuff being a little slow, probably the one for you. But Bitcoin's going to be around for a long, long time. That's why it is the king of the crypto verse, right? We know this. These other proof of work chains, in my opinion, they're going to become just as valuable because once Bitcoin becomes this super utilized protocol, even the smallest transactions, they don't become problematic. They just become pricey, right? And at that point, all of these other protocols become vital, right? And it just becomes like just different streams in this new echoverse. It's been around. Let's be clear. This this isn't a new system. This has been around for 8 to 10 years for a lot of these protocols. And people like me and Nick and others across the globe have been testing these systems out. And right, all of these ETFs are the green flags to tell you, like, these products are sticking around too, right? Solana's going to be here, Litecoin's going to be here, XRP is going to be here, not just Bitcoin, right? And it takes time for those products to absorb some of that capital and to people to put that stuff on the shelf to realize, oh wow, this stuff it's not going to be as important as Bitcoin, but it's pretty damn important. It's, if you have like a curio cabinet for your collectibles, you're not putting it on the top shelf. Bitcoin's on the top shelf, but it's in that cabinet of stuff, right? It's one of those important collectibles that you should be thinking about, especially Bitcoin, because of the energy intensive, I should say, less energy intensive protocol that it runs, right? Because once all these energy companies start strapping into the network, well, that's gonna, the network hash rate to insane heights. And at some point, when the price catches up, well, the nominal fees that are 50 cents to $1 for transactions, they go up. We've seen it time and time again happen with ordinals and everything else, right? And what is it going to be when Bitcoin's $1 million, $10 million? I can't tell you, but it's going to be not $1. And at that point, that's when I'm saying, oh my gosh, yes, Solana becomes important. Litecoin becomes important. All these other ones become important because people are only going to be doing like massive transactions on L1 at that point, right? It's like Exxon's selling $100 billion worth of oil to Qatar, and boom, yeah, they're going to do it on L1 because that's how much trust is coming to the network, if you get where I'm going.
True that. Yeah, and I think also at the same time, the censorship will increase. The countries are, trying to stay alive. So those other protocols will also become valuable from that perspective, because then you can have peer-to-peer transactions without government intervention. And so Bitcoin is for everyone. Either you own it and benefit, or you don't own it and benefit, because it will decrease the cost of energy and it will improve the world in many different ways. So Happy New Year.
And that's how it helps, like, the whole globe, right? If you don't understand it as money, or at some point it's going to touch your life and make your life better, because again, the cost of living as they print money is going to keep going this way. And as all those energy companies lock into the network, well, then all of that wasted energy, like we stated on the show, that $5 trillion, that gets captured back in Bitcoin. And as it gets captured back in Bitcoin, then what happens? Oh, now ExxonMobil has X amount of Bitcoin on their balance sheets. So again, they aren't hemorrhaging money in all these sectors. They can now pay these sectors, right? And pay their, and one of the other cool things I've never brought up is, think about if you have Bitcoin pension plans, they can never get canceled.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you have the keys to that pension plan, that company can go out of business. It doesn't matter. Own the keys to that wallet. Your pension plan can never be canceled, because as long as there's people mining on the Bitcoin network, you still have access to your pension funds, right? Boom. There you go. There's a business idea right there. That's $1 trillion industry. And there you go. And that's not even what I'm working on right now. I just came up with that one. How about that? But that's vital. I mean, we talked about it, I think 2 shows ago, where that guy, he worked GM for like 30 years of his life. GM went bankrupt. They wrote off all the pensions. And now he's, that kid gave him all that money so he could retire, which is nice. I think he gave him like $1 million, a couple $1 million, whatever it was. But as soon